And everything that has ever happened to me and will happen, I consider medicine. And I'm always looking for ways transformation can not only happen, but hold. That's my quest. Transformation that can happen and hold. And I'm still days struggling with the parts of me that feel everything all of the time, and that can overpower my sense of being a lucky human and living freely with my beauty and magic. Um, and, I consider myself to be an extrasensory person, an ESP person, and an HSP person, a highly sensitive person. I don't know if the two are different. They feel different to me in my being. And that's not an easy road, as some of you know, and it's easy to get lost um, in its lot. In it's easy to get lost in its allotness. Let's say, get lost in the allotness of that. Um, and so, finding ways to be devotional about ways to remember what is important, which is why I do this, why I listen to my wee voice and my multidimensional self and try my best to follow through on the whispers that I call my listening, is so that I can remember why I'm here beyond the daily krunkle and kerfuffle, or the real-time challenges that I have, or that somebody I care about might be having. Um, and for me, remembering my past selves is an important part of that. Truly, really like, wow, yeah, I lived through that. I lived through it well and honorably and respectfully and with support. And I'm here to tell the tale. And that matters, I think, to our overall health and perhaps wealth and community, internal community, and our ability to be in community externally too. Not in a way of like dwelling on things and, ruminating on woulda, coulda, shoulda, or how terrible it was, but really celebrating that what made us who we are, right? And also having those little conversations of, this is going to happen. And like really, as if you were your future self talking to your past self. Now, there's going to be a pandemic. And, sorry, there's going to be a pandemic. And this is what I need you to know about that, you know? Or there's going to be a couple of house fires in fast, um, in fast succession. And this is what I need you to know about this. These are the things, right, that how we can care for ourselves in our multidimensional, spiraling time world that we really do truly live in. We live in a holographic universe. And these are ways that we can be skillful in our own self-healing. So remembering past selves with love. And I do plan to print out my little montage and create a very small altar because I have so many altars. And of course, some people call it clutter. I call it sacred stuff. And at times my shamania. But, we know shamanism is as a path of paraphernalia, so it just goes with the territory. But along with remembering and blessing and loving on and guiding our past selves, I really want to I want to invite us into relationship with our future selves too. Um, because those parts of us, like like the me now that walked this decade ahead of my 2015 self, the future, like my 2030 self, my 2035 self, should I be lucky enough to make it that long, knows how I made it, knows the path I walked, knows how to maintain my sanity and my love and my beauty way path over the next decade. And you know, the imagination is often criticized by our rational self for making things up and it's not really real because we imagined it. That's how the soul works. The soul works through our imagination. Our heart, our future self needs our imagination and our willingness to be in relationship with it in order to craft these pathways so that we can help ourselves forward. It's a form of dreaming. And I've seen many versions of my future self, and several possible jumping off points in the future too. What we do in the present definitely affects all the timelines, past, present, future, parallel, lifetimes, timelines. Um, and and allowing ourselves to have conversations, even if we're not a visual person, get a sense of a possible future self. If you can't go 5 years ahead, go a year ahead, go 6 months ahead, go a month from now ahead. Um, allow it to be um, a creative experience for you. So, you know, I'm going to ask my future self, the one that I can access today, what I might want to be attending to, what's important on the docket. Because often my will and my ego will prioritize things that really a year from now are going to be like, what the heck was I doing? So this constant checking in with, call it your future self, call it your multidimensional self, call it your higher self, call it your wisdom self. Doesn't really matter, but I think these conversations are important and relevant, particularly now, because these are very, very, very unique times that we're living through. These are not familiar to me in terms of what I've already lived through. That's for sure. And I think that we will need these aspects of ourselves and these, if you want to call them techniques or devotions, to really uh, help us stay on the path of truth and beauty over the next however many years we get the privilege to be here. Because nothing is a given in this life, as we know. And we're really just furnished with a set of probabilities. And we are, in fact, just a set of probabilities. This human is just a set of probabilities. Somebody shared that with me the other day, and I loved it. I wrote it down, that we are a density of probability. A human body, or body, mind, spirit, soul, but particularly the body, is just a density of probability. That really landed for me for some reason. And it's a good thing to ponder, that we are just here with a set here as in living with a set of probabilities. And from that, we have choice. We have perhaps fate lines. Perhaps we don't have infinite choice because of our karma or what we have actually chosen to come here to do and be and execute. We're remembering our original instructions rapidly at the moment. We're reawakening into the truth of who we are and why we came. And so that has something to do with the range of possibilities that we have available. But within that, there is infinite ways to execute your original instructions, you know, um, I believe anyway. So that's what I'm inviting us into. I'm inviting us into this beautiful dialogue with our past selves, and also our future selves as a way to guide us and and rewrite past timelines, let go of heaviness and old baggage that we no longer need, to give ourselves the best opportunity to live our best life on our highest timeline, with the understanding that everything is happening at once in a fabulous fractal spiral.